Woof! And I thought Pokemon Fan had discontinued.
Pokemon! 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 Pokemon!
Hello everyone, I'm Dustin Benzel, and welcome to another Pokemon XY&Z anime discussion. Today, finally, the Pokemon fan gods have come down and delivered Pokemon Fan to us, and we have quite a bit of information to go over. But first, I want to go over this particular image that's not in relation to Pokemon Fan, and it was tweeted recently by a sound director or music director within the Pokemon show. And basically, he's got a script and it's in front of his face or whatever, but everything else is blurred out. So looking at this, it seems like there is some interesting things going on. Maybe there's potential spoilers going to happen, or whatever, or whatever's going on with this particular image. Maybe there's Talonflame there. You know, a lot of people thinking that this is Frogadier, but there is something a little off about it. And I know I don't really think it's Noivern, but it could be Noivern, because Noivern has similar body shape, at least what's depicted. It has like a pointy spike at the end of its big ears, and it has white fur that resembles Frubble's, although I don't know why Noivern would be in that position, but if this is some old photo, it wouldn't make any sense for why it's blurred out, is what I'm saying. So, and this was recently tweeted, so I don't know what's going on. So anyway, that's all I wanted to cover about that. You can speculate whatever you want with it. So anyway, let's jump right into this. I don't know if Pokemon Fan had any information in regards to the Phrase City Pokemon Showcase, but considering that's next week's episode and I already did a preview in my episode discussion or whatever, talking about certain things in regards to Phrase City, I'm not going to even bother that. So if Pokemon Fan had revealed it, any new information, oh well, I guess I'll talk about it when the episode airs next week. So anyway, so let's jump right into the first image, of course, and it's Ash and all of his Pokemon. Now, a lot of people are a little bit worried about this particular image because one of the translations says, Ash's Challenge. His carefully trained 5-man band. Let's go, Team Ash. And people are worried about that because it came group of 5 Pokemon. You know, you'll have Pikachu, Ash, Greninja there, Talonflame, Noibat, and as well as Hawlucha. And people are like wondering, what's going on? Why is this happening? What about Ash's 6 Pokemon? But in fairness to the makers of this particular magazine, Ash only currently has 5 Pokemon, and with a Pokemon going to evolve relatively soon, and the fact that Noibat is distributed or whatever, we may have to wait until the next Pokemon Fan before they decide to change it up a little bit or whatever it is. So let me go ahead and read what it says in this particular image before I talk about the miniature pictures in general. I'll go over it. Some of the text explains the images, but I will, of course, go through the images, but I want to go through this little text here. So, Ash's goal is the Kalos League champion. Will now present the companions that have grown stronger with him in order to fulfill this grand dream. Talonflame. Whoa, hold on. Fletchling, the first Pokemon he got in the Kalos region, has evolved all the way into Talonflame. It fights with speed and fire-type moves. Now, a lot of people are a little concerned as to why it says the first Pokemon he got in Kalos region, since it was actually Froakie, but I think they meant first real capture, because if we go down to Ash Greninja here, it says the Froakie he received from Pokemon Sycamore has evolved all the way into Greninja. Even though Froakie was technically captured, since Ash or Froakie rolled the Pokeball and Ash touched Froakie or whatever, or Froakie touched the Pokeball and became captured, I don't think it's counting Pokemon. I don't think it's really counting that as Ash's first Pokemon. because basically they already said that it's like a received from Professor Sycamore, basically. So little weird wording or whatever, but I think that's what they're going for. Even though Ash did capture Froakie in that particular episode, based even around the wording when the next summary came about for the Fletchling episode, there was a little concern that Ash hadn't caught Froakie yet, and I remember this because I was a little worried. I was like, "What? Wait a minute! No, Froakie has to be caught first. Why would they have Ash capture Fletchling first or whatever?" And basically, it was because the wording implied that it was just following with Ash rather than it had joined his team almost. So it's I think in the minds of the writers or the summaries or even in Japan, they don't consider what happened to Froakie as a true capture. Um, Outside of it being a Pokemon that belongs to Ash, similar to Oshawott. Oshawott wasn't necessarily a capture, it was basically given to him. I think that's what they're going for. In this particular instance, why Fletchling or Talonflame is regarded as Ash's first Pokemon he got in the Kalos region, because Froakie joined Ash's team and Ash caught Fletchling after a battle, so I think they're like considering Froakie in inconsequential or to this particular wording or whatever. So anyway, so the Froakie has received from Professor Sycamore has evolved all the way into Greninja. In addition, it can change its form to Ash Greninja, which conceals tremendous power. Blurb: its rival is Alon's Mega Charizard X. A fierce battle unfolded between the two, and that was, of course, a couple of weeks ago. Pikachu: Ash's partner that's always by his side. It can stand up to any opponent, no matter how tough, with its outstanding combos. Hawlucha: a wild Pokemon that has attracted to Ash's passion. Its forte is striking cool poses. Noibat evolves. Although I do think it's weird that they didn't really mention Noibat at all, other than Noibat evolves, which is kind of weird, but oh well. Ash and his friends get themselves dragged into the legendary Pokemon Zapdos' furious rage. As Talonflame and Hawlucha are getting defeated, Noibat gets enveloped in light. With its friend being in trouble, Noibat starts to... Zapdos and Noivern, a furious strike of lightning, airs March 3rd. So anyway, before I discuss the left part of the image where the Noibat and Zapdos episode is going to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and cover the other images here. So we're going to start on the right side. And of course, we see Talonflame in the Moltres episode using Brave Bird. That's when it appeared. And then, of course, we get one Ash Greninja scene that happened in the opening. That's a scene from the opening. And then, of course, we have Mega Charizard X against Ash Greninja. And that was, of course, in the battle against Alon. So then we move on to the left, and we see Hawlucha using X-Scissor. And I'm pretty sure, given that I think that's Gurgeist that it's attacking, I'm pretty sure that's in reference to the X-Scissor that Hawlucha used in the Noibat Floette Breloom Noibat Learning Acrobatics episode. So then we go down here, and you see this picture of Zapdos, if the image is still up of this, or I'll just put it up again in case I didn't, in case I put it down. But you see this image of Zapdos using electricity. That is what the thumbnail should have been on TV Tokyo. That is exactly what I mean. I failed to see the point in having all three legendary birds there. So anyway, if we go over here below that, we see Talonflame and Hawlucha in what appears to be new scenes. And I'm pretty sure this is in reference to March 3rd. So Ash is going to use Hawlucha and Talonflame against Zapdos. Considering they're both weak, it makes sense that they're losing so horribly against Zapdos. So then, of course, we come down over here, down to Noibat. Noibat is doing something amazing. I don't know if this is part of its evolution, or it's using a new move, maybe it's using acrobatics or something like that, but definitely this implies that Noibat is indeed evolving on March 3rd, and of course we have Pikachu using Inkay, using Iron Tail on Inkay, so it's really good that all these Pokemon are going to appear, or at least Hawlucha and Talonflame are going to appear in Noibat's evolution episode, and I have a prediction in regards to that Noibat image that we see. I feel like it's probably going to be one of the cooler evolution scenes that we've seen. What I expect is that light to turn into like the shape of Noivern, kind of like it is, and then it's going to glow into the evolution glow, and it's going to like fill out or whatever, and then eventually it's just going to be a Noivern and block. See, the thing about Noibat being different to Talonflame and Hawlucha is that it actually takes neutral damage to electricity, so Noivern would theoretically do a better job against Hawlucha and Talonflame. And the interesting thing here is each of these Pokemon have a neutral resistance because of their dual typing against the 3 types that Pokemon are weak. Hold on. These bird Pokemon have neutral resistance to 3 types that they're weak against. We have Talonflame, who resists ice types, which is weak against, which is super effective against Hawlucha and Noibat. So, of course, anyways, I was saying, Hawlucha is weak against ice and electricity, but it's not weak against rock types because of its fighting type resistance, or its fighting dual type, or whatever I'm trying to say here. And then, of course, we have Noibat again. Noibat has a dragon type, so that therefore it means that it resists electricity, but because it's also weak because of its flying type, it does neutral damage. So I think that's why they're doing this. I feel like Noibat evolving into Noivern to protect its friends is probably because it does resist electricity. If Noibat was battling against Articuno, then pretty much the only Pokemon that would be able to stand up against would be Talonflame, and that's kind of disappointing why Fletchinder didn't evolve against Articuno, or whatever the case was. So yeah, there you go. That's that particular image. I don't think there's any more much to say, but I'm really looking forward to it. If those shots are really from the Zapdos episode, I am looking forward to this, because this is going to be like a very dark and stormy moment, it looks like. And it looks like almost movie quality, dark and stormy quality of movie nature or whatever, and it's going to be epic to see like Talonflame and Hawlucha doing their best against Zapdos, and then Ash needs to use Noibat, or Noibat gets involved or whatever. So, but that's not all. There is one other image that I'm going to show you that has to deal with this particular episode, as well as a mini summary. So what we have here is we have, of course, a picture of Noibat flying away from Ash. I don't see any Pikachu, so I think that's also the reason. Remember the summary that I said about the rescue worker? I think Ash left Pikachu there to help Clement and Serena and Bonnie in regards to the rescue workers. Someone, or wait, maybe that's Pikachu right next to Ash. Or maybe I'm completely wrong. My bad. But anyway, the little text here is the legendary Pokemon Zapdos is going on a rampage. As Ash's Talonflame and Hawlucha are being beaten, Noibat works as hard as it can, which is of course going to let it become a Noivern and evolve. So maybe that is Pikachu next to Ash. It's very blurry and I can't really tell. But if that is Pikachu, maybe the reason why Ash is using his flying Pokemon is because Zapdos is flying around and Pikachu can't touch it. So Pikachu is kind of like a grounded electric type. You know, if Zapdos uses like Thunder or Thunderbolt, Pikachu might be able to block that attack, but it can't attack far enough. So as expected, I expect a lot of potentially new moves from Noivern when Noibat evolves. Maybe even like Boom Burst, or even something like a fire attack would be very useful or whatever. I don't think it's going to be a flying attack because Zapdos resists flying attacks because of its electric type, so having Hurricane being there wouldn't make any sense or whatever. So that's that particular instance, and it could learn a Dragon type move, which would be interesting. Maybe it can learn like Draco Meteor or something like that, but it'd be really nice for it to like learn a fire attack as well as Boom Burst or whatever, and use that in conjunction with each other and just do very good against Zapdos to calm it down or whatever. I feel like Noivern is technically going to do better against Zapdos than Talonflame and Moltres, Moltres was even though Talonflame should have resisted Moltres' attacks or whatever. So yeah, there's that. So I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this particular episode, other than I can't wait for the preview that we'll be getting next Thursday, the 25th. I cannot wait. And of course, we'll get also the A-list. Maybe that'll reveal something of interest. So anyway, we're going to move on to the Binacle episode, and we got something even more interesting. I'm going to show you the boring image first, though, of the Binacle episode before I delve into the more interesting thing. Of course, we see this little particular person wearing some sort of mask, and he has like a binacle on his left shoulder, I believe. And the text for this is, "The mysterious thief Knuckle opens locks but doesn't ever steal anything. Tonight, he and his binacle are coming to town." So I'm assuming one of the binacle heads or whatever is like, it doesn't like stealing, so maybe that's why it ended up on Bonnie's head or whatever, or whatever the case is. So at least we kind of have some indication here that Binacle has a trainer, so no one has to worry about anyone capturing Binacle or whatever. But let's go into what also is probably going to happen within this episode. And of course, it deals with Team Flare somehow. And of course, what we have here is we have an image of Xerosic looking at Z2, an image that we haven't seen yet. We also see what appears to be Z2 Blue Zygarde being experimented on. And then, of course, we see what we already saw with Mega Charizard X versus Zygarde. There's Alon, and then, of course, there's a shot of Puny-chan looking upset on top of Bonnie's head. And then, of course, we see Puny-chan and Z2 in anime drawn images or whatever it is. And then, of course, what it says here in this particular episode, Z2 has ended up captured by Team Flare. Team Flare is an organization that's after the legendary Pokemon Zygarde. Their associates appear to have captured the mysterious life form called Z2 and are performing strange experiments on it. What is Team Flare after, and just what is Zygarde Core? Xerosic, a scientist from Team Flare. He's in charge of numerous underlings for the purpose of conducting research on Pokemon. Alon, a trainer from Team Flare. He captured Zygarde together with his partner Charizard. What is the connection between Squishy and Z2 or Puny-chan? Puny-chan has been a really worried look on its face. Is it aware of Z2's suffering? Pay extra attention to Squishy and Company in the episode that airs March 10th. And that, of course, is the Binacle episode. So this may very well be a split-focused episode where it'll probably maybe be similar to the Alon versus Ash episode, where part of the plot had to deal with Ash Greninja, and this other part had to deal with Team Flare. I think this is really cool that they're just throwing these Team Flare scenes and building up. This is something that they've never really done with any of the previous past villains, not counting Team Rocket because of Jesse James and Meowth. They don't count, but this is like the first time where they're actually shoving scenes in of Team Flare in otherwise irrelevant episodes. It's really nice that they're building up this Team Flare arc so that maybe we'll get a very satisfying climax when it's all said and done. So I expect the Binacle episode to be partially about this thief, the group interacting with Binacle. I don't expect any sort of capture or anything like that. Bonnie will probably be bonding with Binacle, probably will want Binacle, probably, or whatever the case is. But while this is going on, we'll probably see a lot of Team Flare stuff going on and experiments and stuff, and maybe they'll reveal a lot of information within this episode. Maybe they'll actually call it Zygarde after all, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's that particular episode, so let's move on to the next ones. Okay, now there are 3 images in regards to this, so first off, let's look at this particular image, and it has Serena and all her Pokemon. Sylveon, Braixen, and Pancham. And of course, the text for that says, "The curtain rises for the stage of your dreams. Serena is aiming for the top performer title, Kalos Queen. The time has finally come for her to stand on the stage where she can fulfill her dream." And then, of course, that's it for that particular image. Nothing I could say at that particular moment. So we'll move on to the next image, which is Serena and all of her rivals. So let me talk about the image. We've got Miette there. We have Nini with her smoochum and stuff. And then, of course, to the bottom left, we have Shauna with Bulbasaur. We also see Yashio, Nini, Miette, Serena, and Shauna there. Shauna and Serena looking at each other or whatever. And then above that, we have Jessie with Meowth dressed as a jester or whatever. Gurgeist and Jessie. And then, of course, we have Arya and her Delphox. And below that, we see Arya with the Vivillon, which potentially means that she has a Vivillon. And that's the standard pattern form that the Vivillon usually has, which is a little disappointing, because you would think after Viola and the episode where Ash bonded with the Vivillon that they would have given Arya a different pattern, but, you know, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, of course, then there's all this text in relation to all of this text. Okay, so here's what it says. Aim for the Kalos Queen, the Tri-Pokemon or Pokemon Showcase Climax. In Pokemon Showcases, you put on a magnificent performance together with your Pokemon. A lineup of rivals appropriate for this sunny stage lies in wait. A mass gathering of Serena's rivals. Only skilled performers who have won their way through tournaments all over the place are gathered here. Here is a presentation of the 4 you need to give extra attention to. Serena, I'll definitely make it there. Well, obviously. Thanks, Frey City, for being revealed. Rival 1, Miette. When it comes to baking, her skills are on par with Serena. She puts on sweet and fluffy performances together with her partner, Swirlix, or rather Slurpuff. And concerning Ash, Serena and Miette are rivals that both like Ash. This competition is on their mind too. So, Pokemon fan, if you had any doubts, Pokemon fan has specifically stated that Miette also likes Ash. Now, you're probably wondering why Miette doesn't really do anything, and I think I may have mentioned this before, possibly, but I think it may be because Miette does respect Serena enough to just tease her about it, and without actually putting any effort into trying to get Ash for herself. But, it's still there in the back of Miette's mind. It's just that she's very respectful of Serena. And, of course, Nini has the weakest little description here because it says, always full of energy, she teams up with her partner Spoochum to put on lovely performances. And I can think of one particular PokeTuber that has a Dedenne, I believe, as his avatar that would not be happy about this at all. But, whatever. Nini was introduced. She was a performer. She deserves to be in this just as much as anyone else. Rival 3, Musavi or Jessie. I don't really remember what her dub name is for Pokemon Showcases, since I don't think I've watched enough to know what it is, but we'll just go with Jessie. Jessie from Team Rocket participates in disguise. She even won in direct performance competition against Serena. Adult glamour. She rolls out flashy performances alongside her partners Gurgeist and Meowth. She may be constantly causing trouble, but her love for acting is genuine. So this means that Jessie, of course, did get all their keys. When I made the Chestnut review, I was a little worried that they weren't showing Jessie winning any keys. So I'm really hoping that in the Zapdos episode, Jessie is getting a Princess Key. In the Binacle episode, we see Jessie winning a Princess Key. If at the very least we get one scene of Team Rocket getting a Princess Key during those episodes, at least one of the Princess Keys, the other one can be completely off screen. I don't really care, but as long as one of them is there, then that's fine. If, however, like the Chestnut episode, Team Rocket, including Jesse, are being irritating and annoying because they're shoving their faces where they don't belong, trying to capture Pokemon, and Jesse just shows up with 2 off-screen Princess Keys. I'm going to be very upset because, like I said, it would have made sense. But there's still 2 episodes. Next week, of course, is going to be no Team Rocket, so that's not even in one of the considerations going on. But of course, we have the Noibat episode and the Binacle episode, so it's entirely possible Jesse will win the Princess Keys during those episodes, which would be really nice. So anyway, that's Jesse and Musavi, so we'll move on to Shauna. She has stayed Serena's best friend throughout the adventure so far. Precisely because they're so good friends, they can go all out against each other without holding back in the slightest. An intimate friend as well as the ultimate rival. Ooh. Shauna is Serena's precious friend that gave her the opportunity to aim for the Kalos Queen in the first place. So it's really nice to see that they kind of have like this sister-like bond with each other, and it's very friendly or whatever the case is. So excuse me while the microphone does all crazy things. So then of course then we go into the next image, and of course it is the Kalos Queen, Arya. The absolute #1, possessing both fame and skill. The performances she puts on attract all of Kalos to them. But what will the result be? The performances finally start with the big shot producer Yashio watching. What will the final result be? The Pokemon Showcase climax airs across 2 weeks on March 17th and the 24th. Which means, of course, that's the Sylveon episode as well as the Delphox episode. And that kind of makes sense because in the preview for next week's episode, we saw Sylveon running across Serena's arm or whatever, and that had the data broadcast of Dragonair, I believe. So it kind of makes sense that also in regards to the Pokemon Showcase that they would focus on Sylveon, because I think Sylveon will have a much better focal role when Masterclass comes out. So then, of course, the Delphox is in relation to Arya, potentially. Could still be Serena's Delphox, could possibly be, but if not, it definitely is Arya's. So there's really not much I could say here other than I'm disappointed that that there is this short gap between the last Pokemon Showcase and the Master Class, which begins only, 1, 2, 3 episodes after the Frey City Gym battle, or the Frey City Pokemon Showcase. So yeah, that is a little disappointing. It should have been just a little, like 1 or 2 more episodes after, and that probably would have been just fine. So anyway, that's that particular image. So we go down to the final image that I have here, and it shows Braixen dressed up with, of course, using fire attacks, and what it says is the Master Class Pokemon Showcase finally begins. Aiming to become Kalos Queen, Serena puts on her best ever performance. So, of course, that means, of course, we're going to get into Serena doing her best and doing something of that nature. So anyway, I think that's pretty much it. Pokemon Fan has finally come out. Finally, we get information. Not very much information. The November Pokemon Fan, if I'm not mistaken, had a lot more to offer us in terms of information, but they did get some key points here of upcoming episodes. The Binacle episode with Team Flare plot going on with that, the Noibat Noivern episode, as well as the Master Class. But like I said, it is a little odd that even though this is coming out February, that it's just covering just the very second to last episode in regards to March 31st. Might be a break. Maybe that's why it didn't include the supposed Baniri episode. But then, of course, we're going to know a couple of episodes in regards to April, and will probably be after the 14th given that it is the 20th now and it came out the 19th. So it seems like somewhere right before the episode likely to come out the 21st is when we're going to probably get Pokemon Fan again, because Pokemon Fan is bi-monthly, and what I mean by that is it's once every 2 months. Or I guess when it's New Year, it's like once every 3 months or whatever. But since it's a New Year, I expect April to have Pokemon Fan. But it is a little weird that when it comes out, we'll probably know a little bit already about the... But I guess it could be primarily for May. So I think the next Pokemon Fan will cover a little bit of the next 2 episodes that we probably will already have information on at that particular point. We may even have summaries and Pokemon data broadcasts for the other Pokemon at that particular point. But what we have here is going to cover a little bit of the April episodes, as well as potentially all of the May episodes, and potentially I'm expecting Wolfric to probably happen sometime in April, since March is pretty much full. I mean, Wolfric could be the Baneri episode, which is potentially the 31st, but I'm expecting April to be Wolfric. So it might be possible that maybe in May, or maybe sometime in July, we'll start getting the Pokemon League, or whatever that the case is. So if Ash is going to get a new capture before the next gym, so if the 31st is the Baneri episode, and then of course that's the last of the data broadcast, April 7th should theoretically then be potentially a new capture, or the 14th, potentially a new capture, and then somewhere between the 14th and the 28th will probably be the gym battle with Wolfric. So I think that's pretty much it. I covered everything, so I don't think there's any new information to be discovered or to be said at this moment in time. So I will see you next week when I review the Frey City tournament, Frey City Pokemon Showcase. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Dustin Benzel, and I will see you. Wait, of course, I'm also probably going to do a final Ash capture speculation video as well next week, just because it's about that particular time. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Dustin Benzel, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.